Hello and welcome to Frontline Insightbox. My name is Poonam Agarwal and my article is the cover story of Frontline this time, and it is on the Election Commission. As we all know, that Election Commission is in the news for the past few months, and this article actually deals with some of the important aspects which is primarily concerning the voter and the counting process. As we all know that Election Commission is the constitutional body, and the primary task of the ECI is to uphold elections in a free and fair manner. But these days, what we have seen that lots of questions have been raised on the Election Commission. And the reason being raised is because the way voter lists are being prepared. So in this video, we are primarily going to talk about how the voter lists are prepared, how pollings happen, and how the counting process is held in India. And this is the sequence that I'm going to deal with in this video. So I would request you to be patient with me because it's about you, the voter. And as we all know that voters are the most important stakeholders. And we also know that one vote can make or break the election for any candidate. One vote can change the results, and it has happened in the past that candidates have lost elections just by one vote. So please be patient with me and let's begin. Now, the first topic that we're going to deal with is the voters list preparation. But before we get into that, one question that everybody asks is that Election Commission is a big organization. So many people are at work when the elections are conducted. So is it possible that there could be any sort of manipulation? So let me put the record straight now. Recently, Ganesh Kumar, the Chief Election Commissioner, he held one press conference in which he clearly stated that Election Commission has 800 permanent employees working with them at the headquarters and at the state level. And the rest of them who work for the Election Commission are the state level officers who are engaged during the elections and for the preparation of the voter list. Now, the question is that who are these state level officers? So these are the people who work at the district level, and they are called the DEOs, BLOs, and EROs. EROs are the most important one for the voter list preparation because electoral registration officer or the ERO has the primary task to prepare the voter list. But now the question is that what does the Election Commission do? Now the Election Commission's primary task is to be a supervisor. It is under their control, the entire process. So EROs, when they prepare the voter list, it is their job to inform the chief electoral officers of different states. And these officers, in return, they inform the higher authority sitting in Delhi. So this is the hierarchy. Now, the field officers are the state level officers, and the bosses or the ones who are supervising the entire task are sitting in the CEO's office or the AC office. Now, the CEO itself has a very small team working under him, but at the same time his task is to keep a watch on the entire process that is being done by the field work. And let me also add here that if at all any sort of manipulation or any sort of forgery is being noticed by the Election Commission in the voter list preparation, then the Election Commission, by the law, by the constitution of our country, can actually penalize them or seek punishment, suspension, removal of these state level officers. And for that, they can write to the state government to take action. So the supervision is just not on the surface. The Election Commission does have the power to act against these officers. Now, let's talk about voter list preparation. So for the voters to get registered, there are primarily three forms which are used by the citizens of the country, and these forms are Form 6, 7, and 8. So let's talk about Form 6 first. Form 6 is that form which is used by the new voters. So if you have turned 18 this year, so you have to use this Form 6 to get registered. And it is also used by those voters who are existing, but they have changed the constituency. Like, for instance, if you're living in Kolkata and you've shifted to Delhi, like I did, so I changed my constituency, the state and everything. So I have to fill Form 6. Now, then we come to Form 7. So the Form 7 is primarily used for the inclusion or the deletion of a voter. So if anybody wants to get the name included and may raise some objection that, okay, the inclusion of this person is being done wrongly, thus the name should be deleted, or the inclusion of this person has not been done, please include the name of this person. So this form is used primarily for that purpose. And now come to Form 8. Now Form 8 is for the correction. So if at all your name is incorrect, the spelling is incorrect, or the addresses, gender, or whatever details are present in the voter card, for any sort of correction, an existing voter can use this form. So these are the three forms. Now how these forms are used. For, of course, you have to give ID cards like Aadhaar card. There's a list of ID proofs that you have to give. And these forms are approved by the EROs, Electoral Registration Officer, who are working in different states and UTs. It is their job to check the details and then approve. So once the approval is done, accordingly, they upload the information on the ECI net, their whatever website is, and that is then forwarded to the concerned authority in the CO. So this is the process in the preparation in which we find that the field level officers are totally involved. Now, let me touch upon the fact that why so much is, what is in controversy right now, as we know that Bihar SIR is going on. Before we proceed on voter list preparation, let's talk about Bihar SIR, Special Intensive Revision, why it is in controversy. What is it that people are talking about as far as the voter list preparation is concerned? So in this, what we have seen is that the Election Commission, for the first time ever, as per the experts, after the independence of India, that Election Commission is asking for citizen proof. Now, the 11 documents which Election Commission has demanded related to the citizenship proof is in the controversy. The fact that most of us do not have these documents has become a talking point for all of us, and that is the reason why it went to the Supreme Court, also for the simple reason that Election Commission did not include Aadhaar card, which is probably the only document most of the Indians possess. So that is the reason. But now, interestingly, the defense that the Election Commission gave to everybody and to the court also, that in 2003, when such a revision was carried out, which was of intensive nature in Bihar, during that time, according to Election Commission, citizenship proof was demanded, and they also pointed out 4 documents in their affidavit which was filed in the Supreme Court, and those documents were related to the birth certificate and other documents. But what experts and the lawyers pointed out is the fact that they did not annex or attach the notification of 2003 Bihar SIR, or rather intensive revision which was carried out. Now, the lawyers, the petitioners of the Bihar SIR, they said that there is no document being attached and nor is it available on the Election Commission website. Let me tell you one thing here, because I've worked on Election Commission a lot. Interestingly, Election Commission is one of those constitutional bodies that they upload all the documents, all notification, all press releases on their website. But this particular notification was not available. Now, of course, the questions have been raised. So what happened after that? Transparency activist Anjali Bhardwaj, she filed an application, an RTI application with the Election Commission demanding the same document, saying that could you please provide us 2003 notification which was issued earlier on the Bihar SIR. But the Election Commission in response said that they do not have any document. Rather, she was handed over the current Bihar SIR document, which is, again, it is very surprising. It raises question that whether they are trying to hide the document or not, and if they are hiding, then why are they hiding? It should be made public. And secondly, they should have also provided the same document in the Supreme Court. Now, the second RTI application which Anjali Bhardwaj she filed was even more interesting. She asked for the file notings of the Bihar SIR 2025. as we all know that the bureaucracy, how they work, that the file will start from the top, like this is what we want to do. Now it will go to the juniors, and junior will send it to the senior. So nothing can work without proper, paperwork. So when this document was asked under the RTI, Anjali Bharadwaj was told that there is no document available. Now, can we believe that? That's a big question, that how is it possible that the Election Commission is conducting such a big event or incident, or rather I would say, the SIR process in Bihar without proper paperwork? And if at all it exists, what is the problem in sharing under the RTI? Of course, Anjali will go ahead and file appeals, but the question is that right now the SIR is going on and we do not know what were the details, what made Election Commission shortlist these 11 documents as citizenship proof. Bihar SIR is one thing. Let me also talk about the special summary revision. So, special summary revision or SSR is something which is carried out by the Election Commission annually, especially before the elections are held in that particular state. So now, since Bihar was under, like, it was planned that the elections will happen in 2025, so there was SSR carried out in Bihar in January. So this SSR isn't, like, if I tell you simply, it is not like an intensive revision which is being carried out by the Election Commission right now, but it has 3 parts. So SSR can be divided into these 3 parts: intensive revision, summary revision, and partly intensive and partly summary. So these are the 3 divisions of SSR, and it depends on the Election Commission how they carry out this entire process. Now, not getting into the each details of these divisions, I can simply tell you that depending on what they pick, sometimes they go for house-to-house survey, sometimes they just check the voters list, purify it by adding or deleting the voter list, and then once the entire process is being carried out by the booth level officers and the EROs, because BLOs play important role because they are the ones who work in the field. Once the entire process is done, then the draft roll is issued or being released in the public domain, and after that there's a period of claim and objection which is also going on in the Bihar right now, and then the final voter list is prepared, and this list, once it is prepared, it is uploaded on the website, and a free copy of the final voter list is also handed over to all the political parties. And this is being done for years. It's not a new thing, it is being done for years. But if I just go back to Bihar SIR, what is interesting here to note is that if you have noticed that in Bihar SIR, after the draft roll was released, 65 lakh voters' names were deleted. Now, the petitioners who were fighting in the court, in the Supreme Court, they rushed. They said that they've been provided, as in the political parties, they have been provided the names of the voters whose names have been deleted, but not the reason. And there were 3 primary reasons, which was like they were either dead, or they shifted, or they were not found in the location, or the same, they were, appearing in 2 constituencies. So these were the reasons. So what was the demand by the petitioners? The demand was that the names of the voters should be provided with the reason and other details of the voters, so that the verification could be done. So on the petition and on the special intervention by the petitioners, Supreme Court ordered Election Commission to provide it. Election Commission did not provide the reason by itself. Rather, they objected to it. But after the hearing, Supreme Court ordered them. The Election Commission not just provided the list to the political parties, but also uploaded the same with the reason on their website, and also pasted them at the polling booth level, so that any voter name is not wrongfully deleted. So you can understand why voter list preparation is very important, and at the same time, each vote does count. Now let's talk about the second point, verifying electoral roll. That's the most important thing, I guess, after the preparation of the voter list. As I said, that a free copy of the voter list is provided to all the political parties, and the list also has the photo of the voter, like the epic photo, which is generally not uploaded on the website for the simple reason that it would be like breaching the privacy of the person. So the list which is given to these political parties, they are with the photographs. Now, what is the purpose of giving that list? The purpose of providing this free copy is so that the political parties can verify the names, check who all are the voters. Now, whether they do it is a question. So, as we know, recently there was a press conference by the leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, in which he spoke about vote theft. And before I get into that, let me just tell you one thing. As we know that the Bihar SI is going on, so I spoke to one of the senior politician in the opposition over there, and I asked him that you guys have been provided with the voter list. What is the process generally followed by you people? He was on the condition of anonymity, of course. He said that very candidly that 90% or more than 90% chances are there that they are not verified. The process that generally they're followed is that once the party gets the president or whosoever is the head of the party in that particular district or state, he hands over those details to the candidate. Now, it is up to the candidate who's contesting from particular constituency to verify that. But it doesn't happen. But of course, they do not do it. That's probably, I don't know what is the reason, but that is what he said. Now, after this, that has come out by the leader of opposition on vote theft, things have changed. Now, what exactly it is? Now, the vote theft that Rahul Gandhi has spoken about is primarily divided into, 5 points, like duplicate voters, fake and invalid addresses, buff voter registration, invalid photographs, and misuse of Form 6. So these 5 points which he has mentioned about, of course, you must be aware of it, how it all happened. I do not need to get into the details of these, but let me tell you one thing. Certain things you can observe and notice in the first glance. So, for instance, he has spoken about the house number being 0 in multiple voters' name. Then the name of the father is something, gibberish like IJFK. That is not possible. So, if at all I say that I hand over the voter list to you, if you look at it in first glance, you will find out there is some problem with the name of the voter or the details. So, this also points out that Rahul Gandhi, that he spoke about the allegations that he made about Mahadevpura Assembly constituency in Karnataka, and that happened during the elections of Lok Sabha 2024. Now, my question to these political parties is that, have you checked or did you check the voter list there? Is it possible that you did not check? Is it because there was a blind faith among the political parties as far as the election commission is concerned? So let me also tell you here that when I started working on election commission, say around 2019, prior to that, I was not very much aware of the election commission or their functioning. When I spoke to political parties then, they said that they had massive trust on the election commission. So probably they did not care to check the voter list, but that doesn't take away the fact that the political parties somewhere miss on their job, and the task that they need to do, they should have done, was to check these voter lists. Had they done their job properly, probably this particular press conference that we saw of leader of opposition wouldn't have had happened. Things would have been, come to the surface in the public domain then and there. So that is why now Election Commission is saying that you could have filed a complaint on it within the 45 days after the election results were declared, as per the rule, which is right. Why didn't you do it? But again, the question here is that Election Commission also demanded that leader of opposition should provide all the evidence under oath. And now, whether that's correct or not, of course, the experts are saying that this is not the right approach, because leader of opposition is talking about around 1 lakh voters, and demanding this under oath is not fair, because former election commissioners, they have clearly stated that election commission, rather than taking it personally, should have immediately started the process of investigation, because as I've said in the beginning of the video itself, then the election commission job is to supervise the entire process. And if at all any BLO or ERO did not do the job, it is their task to pinpoint, find out who are the people who did not do the job properly, rather than saying this, that either the leader of opposition, he did not name leader of opposition, rather he said that either the evidence is provided under oath or an apology is given. So this entire statement actually became very controversial, because this also raised a question that whether election commission is open to investigation or not. So here again, this is adding on to the distrust of the election commission. Having said that the political parties play important role in the verification of the voter list, I would like to speak about us as in voters. Let me start by sharing a personal experience. I couldn't vote in the Lok Sabha 2024 elections, although I did vote in 2019 Lok Sabha elections and Delhi Assembly elections. So why couldn't I? I wasn't aware of the fact that my name was deleted from the voter list. So, like, I can't say most of us, but yeah, some of us do not really check the voter list or the name, whether it exists or not. We take it for granted that, yeah, we have made the voter ID card. Now we can go and vote. And so what happened with me was that I was waiting till the end that, okay, I'll get the slip at home and then I can, go and vote. But I never received. And it was then, maybe a few days before the elections in Delhi, that I found out my name is deleted. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is that I had no communication from the Election Commission. As per the rule, as per the law, Election Commission is supposed to send a notice or a summons to the voter on the grounds that this is the reason why we feel that your name should be deleted. There has to be communication between the voter and the Election Commission. I never received any summon from the Election Commission. Thus, I was not aware of it. And of course, I do not know what was the reason behind the deletion of my name. So now, what I'm trying to say here is that as a vigilant voter, it is our task to check the names of check our names and our family names, whether they exist or not, at least few weeks, I would say, at least few months, if possible, just 2-3 months before the elections are going to happen in your state. I would request you to check whether they exist or not, whether they're there or not, so that you can at least go and vote, and also to check whether the details are there or not. So it is the task of the vigilant voter, I would say, that they should keep a check on their voter ID cards. Now let's come to the third point, which is transparency in the polling process. Now, polling process is one of the aspect which requires lots of manpower, because as we understand, there are so many election officers who are present in the polling booths, and there's a proper paperwork which is done. As I said in the beginning, that these officers are on deputation. That is the reason why Election Commission has manuals for all these officers who are on deputation, like manual for or handbook for returning officers, handbook for presiding officers. So everything is written like Bible. You have to follow the process 1, 2, 3. Now, polling transparency is very important, because what we have noticed in the Lok Sabha elections 2024 is the fact that there was a lot of questions being raised in the votes polled number. Just to take you back a little, my first story on the related to the Election Commission, I would say Lok Sabha 2019 elections, was that the number of votes polled in EVMs did not match with number of votes counted, that too on EVMs. So this discrepancy was found in multiple constituencies, and the discrepancies was in a way that somewhere votes counted were more and somewhere votes counted were less. So this story, which I did in 2019, of course, I wrote to Election Commission, demanded an answer. I never got it. The matter went to the Supreme Court because a petitioner filed Association for Democratic Reform that works primarily on the elections. They filed a petition in the court, and that was pending for longest period. And in 2024, when it came up for hearing, the Election Commission brushed it aside by saying, no, those were, that was not right and everything matched, although they did not provide any evidence in the Supreme Court. But the fact remains is that what we observed in 2024 elections was a massive hue and cry related to the votes polled data. Election Commission, as we know, that they release only the percentages of votes polled data. In real time, they'll say that 40%, 50% votes polled in a particular constituency. But the questions which were raised just not by the civil society members, journalists, but also by the opposition political parties was the demand for the absolute numbers of the votes polled. Now, the Election Commission was not ready to release this absolute number for the longest period. In fact, the matter also went to the court as, in fact, there were many applications which were filed by the opposition parties, letters written by the parties to the ECA demanding that the absolute number should be given. But Election Commission was just not ready. And at the end of the elections, Lok Sabha elections, I think just before the Delhi elections, which was in the 6th phase, the Election Commission released all the absolute numbers. Now, what we found was once again, and this time the data crunching was not done just by me, but also by the Association for Democratic Reform and other independent bodies. And what they interestingly found that the EVM votes polled and EVM votes counted, there was a discrepancy in 538 parliamentary constituency, keeping aside just 5 constituencies. So now, again, questions were asked to the Election Commission why these discrepancies are happening. There was no response. As we all understand that EVM is like a calculator. If you press a button on the EVM for 10 votes, it will record 10 votes and it will read 10 votes when you count them. So what is the reason there is a deficit or surplus of votes? This is one genuine question, a logical question that needs to be answered, but Election Commission has not answered. Now, so the question is, what should be done? Form 17C. Probably most of you have not heard about it. Let me just tell you in a crux what it means. Form 17C is a form which is given by the presiding officer of a polling booth to all the political agents. This form has 2 parts. So Form 17C Part 1 records votes polled numbers. So suppose in a constituency 700 votes were polled, it will show, the presiding officer will write that 700 votes were polled. Although 710 people came, but out of that, 10 people did not feel like voting, they left, and 700 votes were there. So this, apart from that, there are other details like the unique number of the ballot unit, unique number of the VVPAT, and the control unit of the EVM. So these numbers are also there. There are other details, but Form 17C is primarily, I would say it's very important because it records votes polled numbers. So this is handed over to all political party agents, but it is not made public. So the demand that was again made in the Supreme Court by the petitioner is that the Form 17C of all the constituencies should be made public and that can be done by uploading it on the website. But the Election Commission again said that in the court that no, they do not have the bandwidth to do so, and it would need a lot of manpower. Of course, the question is that how much time would it take? It shouldn't take much time. And knowing Election Commission is one of those bodies which adapt technology very soon. So what is the reason? What's the problem in making Form 17C public? It will only bring in more transparency in the entire electoral process, one. And of course, it will kill the question which is raised again and again on the votes polled data, even votes polled, counted, and poll data. So this entire debate will come to rest just by uploading Form 17C. I'm not even touching about EVM and VVPAT controversy over here, because the EVM, as I understand, is a black box. None of us know exactly what it has. As in public, they do not know. It's only the manufacturer who knows. So talking anything about EVM would not be fair because we do not have the complete idea about the EVM. But this particular aspect related to Form 17C and the data, I guess Election Commission can certainly deal with this question just by making Form 17C public and bringing in more transparency. Another controversy that we see connected to the polling and which we have observed in 2024 elections and till now it's going on is the sudden spike or surge in the voting after 5 p.m. So political parties, especially the opposition political parties, they have raised questions and why there is a sudden spike in the vote polling process or number of votes being polled after 5 p.m. increase during the election. So for that reason, there were many RTI activists and civil society members who filed RTIs with the Election Commission demanding explanation on that, and secondly also demanding the CCTV footage which are installed in the polling booths so that we can see what is the reason. So there is a proper process, for the polling booth to function. So polling is, as we know that it stops after 6, but whosoever is present, he or she is allowed to vote. So the presiding officer is supposed to give tokens to those who are waiting so that whosoever at least reaches the polling booth before 6 o'clock is allowed to vote. So this sudden surge was something mystical, a big mystery for many political parties, and this was raised time and again, and there was no clear explanation by the Election Commission on this. So now coming to the fact that CCTV footage, it is again a controversy that we are facing. The Election Commission is not providing CCTV footages of the polling booths and also otherwise like the storeroom where the EVMs and VVPATs are being stored. So why CCTV footages are not being provided? As you know that in the recent press conference, Chief Election Commissioner Ganesh Kumar ji, he said that, can we, share the footage of women and especially it will be a breach of privacy. But the point is that if you go to the website of the Election Commission, you will find so many photos of female voters on their website. The videos are also present. And secondly, it's just a CCTV footage which is being installed at the polling booths. So, of course, the experts and the former election commissioner, they said clearly that this kind of statement is not acceptable because it makes no sense. Absolutely. If the footage is there, there shouldn't be any problem in sharing them, and it doesn't breach any woman's privacy. For that reason, even man's privacy, why not to consider that? If you're talking about privacy, both the genders, they need equal amount of privacy. So this point is completely been thrown out of the window, which was given by Ganesh Kumar. Now, another thing that I want to point out here is the amendment which was made in this particular section, which is the rule. The Conduct of Election Rules 1961 amendment was observed this in December 2024, and this amendment was technically done to curtail further access to all these documents related to elections, like documents or videography or any sort of electronic documentation which is available with the Election Commission. So this rule was amended, which is called Rule 93(2)A of the Conduct of the Election Rules 1961, and it was done in December 2024. And on that, a petition is already again in the Supreme Court. So as you can see, I'm talking and I'm also realizing that for everything, petitioners are rushing to the Supreme Court, be it related to the election process, voter list, or any sort of. So for everything, one has to rush to the Supreme Court to get things done in a way that it should be, and it is done the way the Constitution demands. Now coming to the last point, which is the counting. Counting process, as we understand, is, of course, it is completed within half a day these days. Considering that we have electronic voting system and EVMs are counted and everything is done so quickly. But then the controversy surrounding EVM has never ended, and I don't think so it will ever going to end. Just to take you a little back into the history, after EVM was introduced, there was a huge demand that the EVM is an electronic voting system. Thus, VVPAT should be introduced. The VVPAT is voter verifiable paper tray. So, a slip comes out of the VVPAT. The reason it was introduced so that the electronic system is supported with a paper slip. So, now technically, we cast two votes. One is the electronic form, which is on the EVM. The second is the VVPAT slip, which is a ballot paper kind of a slip and in paper form. Now, after lots of controversy related to it, then the matter went to the Supreme Court, and in the past, we saw that the Supreme Court ordered that 2% of VVPAT should be counted in every assembly constituency, and it should be verified with the EVM numbers. Interestingly, as per the rule, although we count EVMs, but as per the rule, if there's any discrepancy between EVM and VVPAT, then the VVPAT slip counting will be taken as the final result. So, of course, Election Commission has given more importance to the VVPAT slip. Now, in the 2024 elections, what we have seen is that there was a huge demand for the 100% counting of the VVPAT slips and tallying the entire process. Now, the reason this demand was that since the trust on EVM is going down by every day, so this counting and tallying will restore voters' faith in the entire process. And of course, this was the demand which was made in the before the court, with the fact that there was a growing distrust and there were questions were raised on hackability, manipulation of the EVMs. But the Election Commission, in its reply to the Supreme Court, said that it's not possible. The reason that it will take more than 6 days or whatever days they are saying it will take to finish the counting, and secondly, it will need manpower. And another reason that they interestingly gave that the slips are very sticky. So it will take more time. Now, my question to you is that, would it matter to you whether the elections are declared within a half day or 6 days? It doesn't matter to any of the voters. What matters is whether the counting process was followed in a robust manner and in a transparent manner. So that should be the criteria, not the fact that it will take 6 days. So the point given was, of course, by the Election Commission was not acceptable by many people. But what the process over here, I would say that Election Commission should follow to gain the trust of the voters is as simple as that. We cannot for sure say whether the EVM is not hackable, manipulation. Keep that all aside. The simple process that can be followed, and according to experts, that let the voter cast their vote on the EVM. Let the voter, the VVPAT slip come out from the machine, and the slip should be accessible to the voter so that the voter can verify whether the vote that he or she has cast has been registered in the name of his candidate. He has enough time, she has enough time to verify it, and let him or her put that particular slip in a ballot box. So, once that process is done, on the counting day, the Election Commission can count the slips and also the VVPAT EVM machine, votes. If, say, suppose 10 votes have gone to BJP, 10 VVPAT slips should show that there are 10 VVPAT slips for BJP. Accordingly, they can tally and then declare the results. This will not just bring in transparency, but also it will bring in faith and trust among the voters that the proper counting process has been followed. Right now, a voter is given just 7 seconds to verify the VVPAT slip, which might not be enough. And according to experts, this is not really verification. A verification in true sense happens when you have the slip in your hand and you have enough time to check it. So I would say this is one thing that Election Commission can clearly think about and adopt and implement in the entire process to gain trust of the voters. Right now, as we see that Election Commission is really facing a lot of problems, a lot of questions, and there's a growing distrust among the voters, the political parties, And after the leader of opposition's historic press conference on vote theft, big question mark is there on the functioning of the Election Commission. So on this note, I would like to end my video here, and thank you so much for watching this entire video patiently.